Agriculture is one of Northern Ireland's oldest and biggest industries. Employing 47,000 people, it's a £1 billion business. But who are the farmers behind it? For the past 12 months, our cameras have charted the highs and lows as each month comes and goes on farms across the country. Along the way, we've gained a unique insight into the families who keep this business turning over. It's January. In Fermanagh, 13-year-old Jack Wilson is working with his dad, David. They're preparing young bulls for the annual Hereford Show and Sale. It's a critical event that can set the scene for the rest of the year's prices.
You have to bring your stock out to be valued by the public. You don't know what they're worth until you go to the sale. You could be disappointed or you could be very happy. And that then reflects in the sale of your other animals then in the rest of the year. Plus, when a man comes to buy at the farm, which is fine, but there's nobody else there to force him into paying extra. And if at a sale there's 2 or 3 men interested, you can get a good price.
The Wilsons have a mixed farm with cattle and sheep, but David's speciality is breeding horned Herefords. They're renowned for easygoing temperaments and quality beef. The washing, grooming, trimming and drying is time-consuming, but it's not vanity. It's essential to show off the animal's conformation or build.
It's all to let the buyer see the animal in the best possible light, clean and well presented. All these little treatments are just minimal difference in an animal, but it could be the difference in selling or not selling on the sale day.
It's 5 a.m. in Clockmills near Ballymena. For dairy farmer Wallace Gregg, January is business as usual. No matter the weather, day or time of year, dairy cows need milked.
Come on, guys, come on.
The cattle live indoors during winter. The fields are too wet. Their hooves would churn up the ground, damaging the growth of the grass vital to feed them later in the year. But when cattle are indoors, there's a lot of muck to be moved.
A happy cow gives more milk, so you put them onto, they're actually called cow mattresses. It's like a bed for the cows. Try and keep them as comfortable as possible.
The milking takes a good 3 hours. There are nearly 3,500 dairy farmers in Northern Ireland doing this every single day. They're all feeding into an international market, as Northern Irish milk is a global commodity worth £280 million in exports to our economy.
Mainland UK, because of the large population, there's about 50% of the milk produced goes straight into the fresh market, and when we say fresh market, we mean like the liquid market. And the rest, there's quite a lot of that milk then also then goes into yogurts and cheese and butter, which is consumed in the UK. Northern Ireland, it's very different. There's only about 15% will go into the fresh market or the liquid market and used locally. 80 to 85% of the milk produced in Northern Ireland is exported in one form or another out of the country. Probably cheese, butter and milk powder would be the 3 predominant things that we exported, with milk powder in the past being the most predominant one.
Across the year, dairy farmers here produce 1.7 billion litres of milk. That's enough to fill Ben Crum Reservoir in the Silent Valley. The milk's turned into powder to give it a longer shelf life as it's shipped abroad. It's a competitive market.
My milking powder is quite old by modern day standards. These are recorder jars, the glass jars where you can measure the amount of milk the cow gives. But if you new milking powders now have Milk meters, basically just an electronic unit that measures the milk as it goes through it and records the amount the cow gives. But I would like a new car. Maybe Santa Claus will bring me that next year.
By the time the sun rises, Wallace has been working for 4 hours, and he'll do it all again at the end of the day. For arable farmers like Alan Chambers, January has a totally different rhythm. Alan grows wheat, maize, barley and linseed in East Down.
The first of my ancestors arrived here in 1680, before the Battle of the Boyne, and the family's been here ever since. Unfortunately, my brother David and I are the sort of last of the generation of farmers, as David's 2 lads are doing other things. One's a barrister in London and one's a computer whiz kid in Melbourne in Australia, and I have 1 daughter, so there are no young farming men coming through the business at the minute.
For Alan, January means maintenance and preparation. Across the year, he will work 600 acres.
Every field has its own name. There's the Hall field, there's the front field, the 18-acre, the Coach Horse Hill, the Tenement Hill, the Limestone field, the Village field, the Cut field. Every field has its own name, and we would always refer to them by the field names. The modern generation of a farmer is someone who has to talk to his bank manager on a regular basis. He has to plan ahead. He has to think about markets. You have to survive. You have to make profit. You have to reinvest, and it's long-term reinvestments you're talking about. It's not something that you can just sort of do tomorrow. So yeah, business people, that's what us modern farmers are. I've planned ahead with the rotation in these fields for the next 7 or 8 years, and I have it all on a spreadsheet on the computer. I never thought I'd ever be doing that, but if I depart from this world tomorrow morning, someone will know what crops I would like to be looking down on or looking up, whatever way it goes. You have to plan rotations, and you have to look ahead and try and make sure that you're maximising your soil's ability to produce the maximum potential without causing any long-term damage. Really, the old saying, you know, farm as if you were going to live forever and live as if you were going to die tomorrow is a very true one in our business, and that's the way we try and work it.
Just outside Downpatrick is Finnebrogue, the largest deer farm in the UK and Ireland. Unlike cattle, the deer can live outside during the winter. Their fine feet won't churn up and damage the wet ground.
This time of year, basically what we're doing is first thing in the morning is going around feeding all the animals. So we just go from field to field and making sure everything's okay, giving them meal, you know, going around the fences, making sure there's no, you know, if it's been a windy night, making sure there's no trees down, and just keeping a general, no sore feet, and that everything's looking okay. So how much are these getting per animal, or?
They're getting just over half a kilo.
Half a kilo a day?
Yeah. On silage. But they're not eating a big lot of silage because it's still a fair bit of grass.
Yeah, it's not too bad, so it's not.
Manager Samuel Muirhead and farm owner Christine Lynn are both from farming backgrounds.
I have experience, I was brought up on a sheep farm, and then whenever I came down to Finnebrogue, it was a suckler herd that we had. Sheep was very high maintenance, you know, you were constantly, you know, having to bring them in and to warm them and checking their feet. Then you had lambing period was, you know, a big event where you were very much hands-on, whereas the deer calves here sort of end of May, June time, And you know, out of maybe 700 hinds, you may have 3 incidents where you have to bring them in and actually calve them.
As you say, Christine, as far as the calving, except there's a problem that they're safer left alone and let them.
I think it's just let nature take its course, and then you know, if you see something in the morning trying to calve and you come back in the afternoon,
Or back
she's
a couple of hours
exactly,
even.
and she hasn't, then you try and get her into the run and get her calved. But thankfully, it doesn't happen very often. They're all looking happy bunnies. Good form.
They're all in good condition.
Oh, you can tell.
Different farms have different cycles. The intensity and type of work ebbs and flows across the year. The demand for venison may be continuous, but the busy period for the care and management of the deer starts from April.
Really from sort of December, January, February, March, it's a time when all you're doing is going out every day, giving the hinds a wee lick of barley just to keep them going on, because you're conscious that hopefully they're pregnant at that stage, so you want to make sure they're in good health. And so you're really just making sure the welfare of them's okay, making sure that they're getting fed and have plenty of water.
Finnebrogue has 17 stags. For most of the year, they're kept separate from the rest of the herd, only joining them for the mating season in September.
We normally try and put 1 stag per batch, because what ends up happening is if you put 2 stags in, the 2 of them are going to fight to see who's sort of going to be the master in that field, and you could end up losing a stag at that point. Or he's going to spend so much time fighting with the other stag, he's not going to be in there actually doing what he's meant to be doing.
Only served 16 days.
In Clockmills, the vet is visiting Wallace Gregg's dairy farm. Every January, he scans the cows using ultrasound to check if they're in calve. The farm's milk supply is planned around these pregnancies.
Under heifer. Too early to tell. You're putting me under pressure now.
Some of the times, at certain times, you can actually scan and tell you what sex it is. So at 969.
This regular screening helps Wallace maximise milk production.
Let's say a cow calved on the 1st of January. You want that cow calved on the 1st of January again the next year. For every day over that date, it's about £3 per day. That's what it's costing you, and that cost's made up of lost milk income and lost revenue, and therefore, from an economical point of view, you want, they talk about calving index, that's from the date of one calving to the date of the next calving. You want that as close to 365 days as possible. It's basically the date that makes you the most money or the most economical.
It would be 80% sure she's not in Cav Wallace.
So there's a 20% chance she is.
Ever the optimist.
That's okay, we'll just leave her and see what happens. We'll just put in a question mark there.
Scanning is just one example of how technology is playing an increasing role in farming.
Well, they're basically, I think, developed from gaming technology, the same as they're used in a lot of the original gaming technology. There is a little screen in front of each eye, so I can get the image of the ultrasound scan in front of each eye. And they used to do it on a television screen, which wasn't the most practical for carrying around the farm and your animals walking past. It was dangerous for the equipment, dangerous for people, dangerous for the animals. This way it's all self-contained, everything's on my back.
With the scanning complete, Wallace can plan the care of his cattle and now has a clear idea of how milk production will shape up for the rest of the year. Back at the Wilson farm in Fermanagh, it's the morning of the annual Hereford Show and Sale. The water pipes are frozen, so David has to water all the animals from an old well. Once this is done, the two bulls are loaded for the 50-mile trip to Dungannon. Even with the icy road conditions, there's no question of the Wilsons missing this sale. It's a crucial business opportunity.
Well, it's the main sale for Hereford. They're always in January, and it sets a benchmark then for the rest of the year and for prices. And you always like to show at the sale in January. Oh, I'm nervous. You just don't know what's going to happen at the sale. You work and look after the bulls, and you don't know till you'll arrive and the sale comes up what you'll get.
At the market, the conditions don't improve. The water is limited. The Wilsons are against the clock. With so much riding on this one sale, the whole family pitches in to finish preparations for the ring. If the bulls don't sell, it will hit cash flow and David's business plans.
The bulls are after being weighed there to see that they're the correct weight for their age. Now they're going in to be inspected by the veterinary surgeon to see that they're correct in every way and right for the buyer.
Before the auction begins, the bulls compete in a show class. It gives everyone a chance to get a good look at them. David's bulls come a disappointing third and fourth. It's a bit of a blow. But the result doesn't put off potential buyers. One breeder has even travelled from Cornwall to look at David's youngest bull.
So with what you've seen there in the judging, you're still quite happy with the bull? Oh, that's good at least. That's good, that's good.
Yeah.
So.
The mother was a good big cow.
Oh, a wonderful cow, yeah, yeah.
Would the father have been a bit smaller, would he?
No, no.
So he's like all right.
Just checking. They're both by the same father.
All right, I'll see you a bit later.
That's all right, sir. Thanks for it. I'll see you later, John.
Ahead of the sale starting, buyers and other breeders scrutinise the stock on offer. It's a chance to see who is producing what. It's time for the sale to begin, and straight away David's key bull is attracting several bids. The bidding goes higher and higher, In fact, the price is climbing well beyond David's expectations.
4,800 and 4,800 4,800 half the left now 4,800 and 4,800 to down now 4,800 on the market 4,800 and 4,800 5,000 paid 5,000 5,000.
He tries to keep calm.
5,000 5,000 5,000 5,000 5,000 and not jumping out at 5,000 100 5,100 5,100 to down at 5,100 and 5,100 down at 5,100 and 5,100 down at 5,100 and 5,100 to down at 5,100 and what else then? 5,100.
David's bull sets a new record.
It's all right. That's all right. That's all right. That's all right. Thanks.
David's fellow farmers are swift to congratulate him.
We're going to get that smile off your face.
I don't know. Not be the day now, I know.
Good price,
Not so bad. Not so bad. That is a fantastic price. It's, as far as I understand, it'll be a new Northern Ireland record for a Hereford.
The buyer is the Hereford breeder from Cornwall. He likes the bull's pedigree and wants to introduce new blood to his herd.
Congratulations, and I hope it's a wonderful success for you.
But as his farm is in England, the bull has to do at least 30 days quarantine before he can travel. And this means David is taking both bulls home. He didn't sell his second bull as he didn't get a good enough bid.
It could be the fact that I hadn't done enough training or work with them at home. Neither bull really showed very well in the show part because of the lack of training really at home, and that can be put down to the weather. Given the interest in him, I was expecting something like 3,000, but once he started to cross that and the next thing it was 4,000, it was hard to believe. It was unbelievable. I've come home now to obviously leave the bulls back off, and I will have to start then and feed the rest of the cattle all and the sheep.
The boys, Jack and Robbie, pitch in.
Water's working. Means I'll get into the house a bit earlier in this cold evening.
Even with one bull not selling, it's been a good sale for the Wilsons. Once David takes out the cost of producing and raising the bull, he'll reinvest the profit in the farm for the coming year. For David, like thousands of other farmers, this is not just a way of life, this is his business. Agriculture is one of Northern Ireland's oldest and biggest industries, employing 40. It's January in Fermanagh.
Sale, you could be disappointed or you could be very happy, and that then reflects in the sale of your other animals then in the rest of the year.
Of my ancestors arrived here in 1680, before the Battle of the Boyne, and the family's been here ever since. Unfortunately, my brother David and I are the sort of last of the generation of farmers, as David's two lads are doing other things. One's a barrister in London and one's a computer whiz kid in Melbourne in Australia, and I have one daughter, so there are no young farming men coming through the business at the minute.
For us,
first thing in the morning is going around feeding all the animals, so we just go from field to field and making sure everything's okay, giving them meal, going around the fences, making sure there's no, if it's been a windy night, making sure there's no trees down, and just keeping a general, no sore feet, and that everything's looking okay. I've spent so much time fighting with the other stag, he's not going to be in there actually doing what he's meant to be doing.
So I can get the image of the ultrasound scan in front of each eye, and I used to do it on a television screen, which wasn't the most practical for carrying around the farm and your animals walking past.
Nervous. You just don't know what's going to happen at the sale. You work and look after the bulls.
David, like thousands of other farmers, this is not just a way of life, this is his business.